Good evening. This is Monday, November 3rd, hours until the 2008 presidential election. Whatever the result after the final votes are counted, the outcome for Senator Barack Obama guaranteed to be a bitter and heart-rending one, with word this afternoon that in our fifth story on the countdown, his grandmother, Madeline Dunham, did not survive to see Election Day. Senator Obama and his half-sister announcing this afternoon that the woman they called Toot, short for Tutu, Hawaiian for grandparent, died early this morning Eastern Standard Time after a battle with cancer. The two saying of Mrs. Dunham in a statement, quote, "She was the cornerstone of our family and a woman of extraordinary accomplishment, strength, and humility. She was the person who encouraged and allowed us to take chances. She was proud of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren and left this world with the knowledge that her impact on all of us was meaningful and enduring. Our debt to her is beyond measure." Senator Obama informed of his grandmother's death a little after 8 a.m. in Florida, a couple of hours later hitting the trail in Jacksonville for a final day of campaigning. Earlier this evening in Charlotte, North Carolina, talking briefly about his loss.
I'm not going to talk about it too long because it's hard to talk about. She's one of those quiet heroes that we have all across America who, they're not famous, their names aren't in the newspapers, but each and every day they work hard. They look after their families. They sacrifice for their children and their grandchildren. They aren't seeking the limelight. All they try to do is just do the right thing. And in this crowd, there are a lot of quiet heroes like that.
Any change of subject from that one, a difficult one, but obviously Mrs. Dunham would want to know where things stand tonight on this almost hushed eve with breaths held and fingers crossed. Senator Obama with an 8-point lead in the final national NBC News Wall Street Journal poll released today. The Keith number of your depends plus not sure plus the margin of error equals 7.1%. Looking inside Obama's lead based upon his overwhelming advantage among African Americans, 87 points. Latinos, 41 points. The lead in 18 to 34-year-old voters, 21 points. Independents, 10 points. Blue-collar voters, 7 points. Senator McCain with the edge among evangelicals, 59 points. Voters 65 and older, 13 points. White men, 12 points. And white women, 1 point right now. Yet if Senator McCain's supporters merely like him, Senator Obama's positively love him. 86% of Obama's supporters have a very positive view of the Democrat, compared with 56% of those voting for the Republican. In the national daily tracking polls, Gallup, Senator Obama by 11 points. Among traditional likely voters, the number of Keith, the no opinion plus margin of error in that one is 5. The Hotline poll, Obama by 5. The Keith number of undecideds plus margin of error is 8.3. And in the Research 2000 for Daily Kos, Obama by 6. Keith number there is 4. In the final Quinnipiac swing state polls, the ones that the Obama camp are looking at, Obama by 10 in Pennsylvania. Keith number there, 6.5. 7 in Ohio. The Keith number is larger, 8.5. 2 in Florida, with a Keith number of 8.3. And if before today the McCain campaign alleging this election was about Obama's celebrity or his purported inexperience or his falsely palling around with terrorists or his supposedly being a secret socialist, today Senator McCain and Governor Palin deciding that this election is really, definitely, positively, and finally about coal.
In a new video talking about his policies on coal, he told, strangely enough, the San Francisco Chronicle, quote, "If somebody wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them," unquote. Now, what's that all about?
An excellent question. More on what everything is about with our own Howard Fineman, senior Washington correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Keith.
This election was always about clean coal, or is he talking about coal in the stocking at Christmas? Who knew? I mean, before today, this was this. I heard there's some mention of this once or twice, but this was what the campaign was about, coal in San Francisco?
You haven't been following the campaign closely enough, I'm afraid.
I knew that would happen.
Because it finally got away from you, because it's all about the coal fields of southern Ohio, West Virginia, and western Pennsylvania. Now, those are important areas, and I remember 16 years ago, Bill Clinton had to make an emergency trip in there to win West Virginia to calm people down about Al Gore and coal. However, if you're John McCain, you don't want to finish the campaign talking about coal or something else in the ground. You want to have the lift of a driving dream, and Obama's doing that. McCain is going small ball here at the end, and not a good sign.
The unbelievably sad news, especially in terms of timing this afternoon about Mrs. Dunham. Is there one ray of light in here, that optimism that Obama did, even if this turns out to be a blowout for him, it was an extraordinary thing to stop your campaign, even for that relatively short period of time. That has to be very meaningful tonight to those who knew her, and specifically to him. Is it even a reason to talk about its political impact?
Oh, I think it's important because it's so important to Obama. I spoke with David Axelrod, his longtime advisor, who said that it was a somber scene this morning. But on the other hand, Obama was very satisfied with the fact, however much consolation it was, that he'd gone out to visit her. Don't forget, he and his sister called her the cornerstone of their family. She made everything possible for Obama by getting him an education and sending him on his way to where no one could have imagined he would be at this moment.
The whole issue about tomorrow. Senator Obama has not been to anything other than a red state in a week. Tomorrow he will go, as the polls open, to Indiana, another red state. What does that tell us? We are always told, look where they're campaigning the last 4 days. Well, they can be rephrased to, look where they're campaigning the last 4 days.
Yeah, well, Indiana is key. It hasn't gone Democrat since 1964. It's also the first state that reports its results. And that's another reason to go there tomorrow. It's not in the bag for Obama necessarily. He's got a grip on it because of it being near metropolitan Chicago, but he wants to nail that down. Yes, he's been playing this game on Republican turf for the last couple of weeks. That's why he's ahead in the polls. That's why he's ahead in the Electoral College right now.
The Republican operatives who will throw out a number or a bit of data, the ones particularly we were talking to our friends at Politico, they believe Senator McCain can win, that it doesn't require a miracle or a long shot, that it is possible through their internal numbers, that he's competitive in all these swing states, he's inside the margin of error. Are their numbers right or just different? Could it be Dewey defeats Truman?
Well, they've got to win everything and then some. They've got to win all the toss-up states. Now, keep in mind, the toss-up states are all red states.
Yeah.
So they got to win all those. Then they got to nail down Virginia and Ohio. Then they got to win at least, if you look at the numbers, they got to win Colorado. They got to win maybe New Mexico and then maybe New Hampshire. And of course, they've spent so much time trying to win Pennsylvania, which may turn out to be the fool's errand of all time. I mean, I could be proved wrong. I know that state very well. It's going to be hard for McCain to win it, but he needs something like that to pull off one of the great upsets of all time. Every poll, every national poll, and every compilation of state polls in every swing state except North Carolina at this moment have Obama ahead.
All right, well, I'm still worried. Howard Fineman of Newsweek, good to see you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay,